So, hey, Storm Freaks, it's Phil. And on episode 186, we get to chat storm photography with Jim Tang and Paige Vincent. They're the winners of the 2023 Storm Photos of the Year contest. So this is going to be a great show. We've also got hashtag WeatherFools, and Weather Trollbot 5000 is back with enhanced AI. It's unbelievable. It's all right here on Stormfront Freaks Live.
Going green.
Greenwich.
Saddle them up.
You got it, boss.
Hey, welcome to the most entertaining weather show. This is the award-winning Stormfront Freaks Live, and it's brought to you by windstormproducts.com. Hey, Tropical Storm Brett is on his way in the Atlantic, and his sister's right behind. So our friends at Windstorm Products have the world's largest online selection of hurricane hardware. So prepare your home and shop windstormproducts.com for your hurricane hardware and shutter installation tools. Hey, thanks to our Patreon teammates that help support the show. We've got a new teammate, Steve Holmes. So Steve, welcome, and all the others that are scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Hey, you can join our team as well and get access to our exclusive Facebook group. We've got co-hosts and past guests like Ginger Z, Ryan Hall, Michael Binsky, Dr. Philip Klotzbach, I think Jim Tang, I think you're even on there, buddy. And we've got over 50 others of our past guests. We have a number of tiers with exclusives, but you can help support our show for as little as $5 a month. If you're new, it's always happy hour every time we've got the show. And so what we're going to do is we're basically sitting at the bar. We're going to find out which of our co-hosts are here tonight, as well as what their...
Co-hosts. I get it.
Co-host. We lost Serena. I don't know where Serena went, but we do have another co-host here tonight. So Greg Johnson, our storm chaser and photographer up in Canada. Greg, what are you drinking tonight? What do you got?
Well, listen, there's been tornadoes all over North America, and in honor of the Alberta and Manitoba tornadoes over the last week, I'm drinking some Canadian whiskey with Coke.
Very good. Delicious. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So MJ is also, he's back in the green room. He's running the show tonight, and we're expecting Serena to be popping back in here at any moment. But let's get to our guests. That's what we're here for tonight. So Greg, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, I have to tell you, Phil, I am so stoked for tonight's show. We've got two amazing photographers with us, and shout out to the gang over at the Stormy Awards for putting together a few years ago, 2020, I think was the first year, started this idea of, hey, let's bring together photographers and get the best photographs and the best photographers in storm chasing in the weather world. Let's bring them all together and get them to submit their photos and see what comes out of it. Well, tonight we've got two amazing photographers. First of all, we got Jim Tang, who won the award for 2022 of Photographer of the Year. That's a pretty big title. Jim is a coder. He lives in Denver, Colorado. In 2015, he went on his first storm chase and totally loved it, so much so that today he goes storm chasing multiple times a year, mainly to the Plains and Tornado Alley. Tonight, he's in his home state of Colorado chasing. But the spring storm season, he's out on the Plains, and then he goes over to Arizona for the summer monsoon. And again, Jim was the 2022 Storm Photographer of the Year. And secondly, but no less important, we've got Paige Vincent, who won the award for Photograph of the Year. And when you see Paige's photo, you guys are gonna be mind smacked on this one. Paige is also from Colorado, and she began chasing storms back in 2017. Since then, she's been combining landscape and self-portrait storm photography. Also, you're going to love what she does around this stuff anyway. She's a full-time graphic designer who has a goal to inspire more women and the younger generations to get out and storm chase. And again, Paige's one of her photos was voted the best storm photo of the year. Paige, I want to start with you. First question. when you got this incredible storm, and maybe Phil, we can put it up on screen, but this photo from the Badlands of I know what goes into chasing storms, and I know what goes into, like, did you just happen to be up at the top of this butte and this storm formed, or did the storm form and then you went, oh my God, we got to get up at the top of that hill? What tell me, what was the process? Was it happenstance, or was this like a thing that you wanted to do?
I think Jim can tell you a little bit more about how we ended up in that exact spot. But we started in Colorado that day, and there were two storms. There was one in Texas in the Panhandle, and there was one up north. And all day we were deciding whether or not to go north or south. And finally I was just like, what if we just go see a national park? What can we lose? And Jim's method was a little more on the forecasting side than mine, but I think in the end we both kind of got what we wanted. We watched
Yeah.
roll in, and we noticed that it had some structure to it. And Jim was like, let's go into the park, get a view of this thing. And yeah, that came right to us.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about storm photography, well, any photography really, and you think about landscapes, and essentially that's what this is. But we think of landscapes as being the sort of background. But this photo, as great as the storm is, it's the foreground that makes this photo, right? If you put this same sky on a brown field, you don't win storm photo of the year, right? This is all about foreground. Amazing shot. And Jim, I didn't even realize that you two were traveling together on this day. How does that feel to lose the storm photo of the year award when you were literally in the exact same spot? Like, that's got to hurt the ego, Jim.
Sorry,
You're muted. There you go.
Yeah. Sorry, there we go. It doesn't hurt at all because actually I was a little bit in front of Paige on that ledge, and I think she got the better composition. So I got similar photos, but I liked her composition a lot more. So it doesn't hurt my ego at all. I think she 100% deserved it. This is like an outstanding photo, and she composed it perfectly. It's wonderful.
Well, listen, let's now, Jim, let's sort of transition to your award, Storm Photographer of the Year, and just explain for those that don't know what goes into this idea of Storm Photographer of the Year, because it's not just a single photo; it's a body of work, right? And let's face it, you're out on the plains. Every damn car you see has about $50,000 worth of camera equipment in it. So if you win that award, that's a pretty big deal. So tell us about the body of work, what went into it, and how much time did you spend in 2022 storm chasing?
The answer is way too much. So to be honest, I think I was very fortunate in a lot of circumstances to be in situations where, like, for example, the photo that you're showing right now, the fact that there was this isolated pop-up thunderstorm that initiated. I was on an overlook near Tucson, and that storm just happened to drop and an amble bolt right in front of me, and I was there my camera was set up and I captured it. Right, so I think I was very fortunate. I had a lot of instances where I was at the right place at the right time. But yeah, I did chase a lot. I started off I started off with Paige in Badlands in Iowa, and then I ended the year down in Southern California. I captured a fire NATO in between multiple trips to Arizona, which is very far from Colorado. So it is a ton of chasing, a ton of miles on my car. I think I average for the past 2 years at least, I've averaged 30 to 40K miles on my vehicle.
Wow. Hey, for those of you that are listening to the podcast, the photo that we've got up on screen of Jim's from Tucson is a picture of you imagine a big thunderstorm, but off the right-hand side is this clear air bolt coming down from the anvil of the storm, and it looks like the lights of Tucson below. Just an amazing a photograph, Jim, and I'm super jealous, by the way. I just gotta say that. Do you use a lightning trigger?
So no, for that photo, I just time lapse. So I'll just keep shooting 15-second exposures and hope that a bolt falls within each exposure.
So explain that, Jim, because I know there's a lot of people that are watching or listening that they want to learn what it takes to be storm photographer of the year or to get the storm photo of the year. So explain that process. What you're setting up on your camera.
Yeah, so I have like an exposure that I set to. So I start off with like f8 and pretty low ISO below 200. And depending on how close or how far I am to the storm, I'll have a certain shutter speed between 10 and 20 seconds. And so I'll start off with that default setting, and then I'll have that run. So just basically set and forget. Have my camera take a bunch of photos, hope that lightning falls within the frame, within those exposures. A lot of times they don't, right? So there is a lot of feedback, right, from the storm, right? If all the bolts are off to one side, or if I'm too bright, I adjust the settings, right? So there'll be constant feedback from the storm on, are my settings correct? Am I pointing in the right direction? And then I'll adjust based on that. The worst thing that happens is the storm will give me feedback, and I point my camera to another direction, and back where I originally was pointed, biggest bolt of the day drops. Right? So
No, that never happens.
No,
That never
Greg has
happens.
no idea what that.
I've never had that experience, Jim. Hey, Paige, you and Jim are obviously good friends. And do you follow Jim on Twitter? Do you follow him on Twitter at all?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, so you do, right?
Twitter, yeah.
So I think it's fair.
Instagram.
Yeah, if you guys follow Jim on Twitter, you will know that he puts out in the world that he is the worst storm chaser on earth.
Oh, we said it yesterday, and then
He said it yesterday. I know.
And you
Hey, yesterday it was justified yesterday.
So
No,
Jim, you
everyone-
put it out in the world that you are the worst storm chaser on earth. Dude, you won the storm photographer of the year. You got to stop that. You got to stop that stuff.
It's
Anyway.
his brand now. That's
Right,
Jim's
it is.
brand.
It
He
is.
can't.
It is.
I
Ken
can't
can't
my
stop
brand,
it.
right? That's how I justify. I got to keep it my brand.
So, Paige, tell us about the whole red dress idea and the whole storm selfie thing, which I think is brilliant. And I'm sure, Serena, I might have jumped in and asked your question. I'm sorry, but Paige, tell us about the whole concept of the red dress.
Yeah. And this kind of ties into kind of why me and Jim were set up in that spot for the Badlands shot. We have that background in landscape photography too. So we look for foregrounds when we're shooting. And it's kind of difficult when you're chasing out in the plains and there's not many things to stop at other than like a barn or a random cow. So the red dress kind of started with the landscape photography by wanting to add a person and a pop of color as like a sense of scale to a big landscape shot so that you can tell how vast the mountains were or the scenes were. Originally it started in White Sands, and you can't really tell how vast White Sands is. So adding me to it, especially in a red dress, which was going to pop, helped a lot. And so I naturally just tried to incorporate that into my storm photography. It's always easier if I do it with someone because they can shoot me while I'm in the dress. But there are times where I've set up a tripod and just rattled off a few, set it on interval timer, and yep, that was one I did on a tripod. And shortly after,
Oh my
it
gosh,
fell
really?
over.
Wow.
So when you're driving around the plains, and let's face it, a lot of dudes in pickup trucks driving around. When you
Oh my God.
when you roll up to a gas station in Lyman, Colorado, do people are you? Please tell me you're wearing the dress when you're filling up the car with gas. Please.
No, but on this particular day, I was next to a very busy highway and I pulled off on a dirt road to take this. And I'm not kidding, maybe 15 people stopped to ask if I was okay. All they're very nice, but you can tell they're locals and they're like, "Are you lost, hon?" And I'm like, "I'm okay, thank you."
You're like, nope, just a storm chaser. Just
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild. That's wild.
So were you doing that, Paige? Were you doing these self portraits prior to storm chasing, and you incorporated that, or?
Yeah, so the red dress came first. I've been doing that for about 6 years. I try to do it in as many different places as I can and do it with other photographers as well. But with storm photography, recently I've just been taking it with me on every chase. And if there's kind of a low precipitation day, I'm hoping for that like low precipitation tornado, where I can put it on and take a few shots. Yeah.
So that's still on the bucket list. You haven't done a tornado shot yet?
There's one red dress tornado shot, but it's about 5 years old now. It's from the Chugwater tornado.
Oh, that was a good tornado.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were hoping for that yesterday again, but
yeah, Jim went up to Colorado or up to Wyoming instead of Colorado. Rookie mistake, Jim. Rookie mistake. Listen, guys, let's talk a little bit about the camera and equipment, that kind of stuff. Because again, lots of photographers listening and watching. What type of camera are you shooting with, Paige? And any other than a tripod and maybe a trigger of some kind, any other special techniques that you're using or employing?
Sure. So I have a Nikon Z50 with actually just the 2 kit lenses it came with, a 16 to 50 and a 50 to 250. And then I also have a Z6 II with a 15 to 30 millimeter. So I cover all ranges so that
you fully switched over to mirrorless then?
Yeah, fully mirrorless. It's actually the only thing I've ever shot on. The Z50 was my first camera.
No kidding.
Wow.
Yeah. I like Nikon. I'm a Nikon girl, which I'll get a lot of hate for, but
oh no, I'm Nikon too. Whoop, whoop.
Okay.
No,
all right.
It.
Yeah, and Jim, tell us what about you? Any special equipment you're using, or what are you using?
So I have 3 cameras. I have a D750, a D850, and a Z6 II as well. I don't have any super special lenses. I have an ultra-wide 14 to 24, which is great for getting structured shots because that fills up the sky and the 14 millimeters captures it really well. I have on my Z6 II, it's just the kit lens. It goes from 24 all the way to 200. That's really great when you're too far away from a tornado and you need to go up to 200.
Right.
And then for my D750, I have I think it's a 24 to 70 on it. So that's the kind of I use as my backup camera if I'm time lapsing or if I need like a second camera, just in case, if one camera has something out of focus, my backup camera will go capture it. So that's kind of my setup.
Jim, were you using shooting? Were you doing photography before 2015 when you started storm chasing?
Yeah, so I've been doing photography for a while. I've been doing it since high school. I've never been super serious into it. Like it was more like just casually do it if the skies look good. Back in high school, and then when I started storm chasing, the photography naturally came in. Right, this is something I already knew how to do. I already knew how to adjust aperture, shutter speed, ISO, and everything. So that made the learning curve for storm chasing a lot easier because the photography aspect I already had down.
Nice. Do you guys? Last question, I think, Phil. Hey, before we go to break,
yep.
Do you guys have anyone that you kind of, when you got into the business, where you went, man, I would love to get photos like is there somebody that you kind of looked at as inspiration, so to speak?
Oh, Jim Tang.
Paige, that's the best answer.
I'm flattered.
He's still a hero of mine. Every time I get to chase with him, it's a good time.
That's great.
Thank you.
What about you, Jim? Anybody that you even still admire their work? And
yeah, there's a ton of people. I want to give a shout out to the Arizona Chasers, John Serlin, Mike Obinski, Lori Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
They produce some just incredible work, just absolutely insane work. my interest lately of photographing landscapes with weather on top of it came a lot from John Serlin, because he's so good at that. Like he gets just the most insane shots ever. So I'm very heavily inspired and just inspired by him.
Second
So yeah.
that.
So, Jim, tell us about the shot of Half Dome. I was blown away by that shot.
Thank you. Yeah. So, so this is funny. So on Twitter that morning. So first of all, the overall large scale pattern. I knew I had to chase. I knew there would be good thunderstorms somewhere, right? So it was a matter of where to chase. I had a few targets in mind, but then I think it was Darren Hall and Thomas Nepshield on Twitter that morning. They talked about, if you get a half dome, a bolt hitting half dome, we'll quit or something like that, like some funny thing like that, right? So we were just casually talking about it. But I looked on the HER, and I saw like it showed a thunderstorm moving past Yosemite at the time that I wanted, like around 8 p.m., around sunset, around blue light. So I was thinking, okay, this might be feasible, but I don't really like shooting in mountains during these kinds of setups for various reasons. One is they tend to initiate thunderstorms pretty early. I always want to go for golden light, blue light when it comes to weather, lightning bolts, stuff like that. So I didn't like the light early in the day, and so I was kind of worried that it would initiate too early, and the models aren't very good with the initiation timing. So I thought, this is going to blow up at 2 p.m. and it's going to be over, right? And that's kind of what happened. It did blow up at 2 p.m., but there was just a little bit of light behind that first round of thunderstorms. And the HER just kept showing that 8 p.m. storm. It never wavered from that. So I already got to Yosemite right after that first storm ended. And I already had a plan to hike up. So this was the 1,000-foot elevation gain, and I knew because I hiked that hike before that at the top of that 1,000-foot elevation gain, there's this beautiful view of Half Dome. So I lugged my 2 tripods, my 2 cameras up that 1,000-foot elevation gain, and I was like, oh my gosh, why am I out of shape? But yeah, I got the shot. So it was worth it. The hike was worth it. The forecast was worth it. Everything worked out. I was super thrilled. It was a good day all around.
Yeah, you were channeling your Ansel Adams.
Indeed.
Wow. Wow. Very nice. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and take a short break. We've got a new Storm Chaser safety clip that we're going to play for you, and we'll be right back with more from Jim and Paige.
It's time for this edition of Stormfront Freaks podcast, Storm Chaser Safety Tip.
Join retired Fire Battalion Chief Randy Denzer, EMA Director Eddie Aldring, and Police Officer Eric Fox as we discuss some of the most common Storm Chaser safety pitfalls to avoid. Okay, so we're talking Storm Chaser safety tips. I'm with Eric Fox. He's a current police officer in Davis, Oklahoma, and a field correspondent for Weather Nation TV. Eric, a lot of times chasers, we're out wherever the tornadoes and the storms are, which a lot of times are going to be out in the country around dirt and gravel roads. Sometimes you just can't avoid it. I guess let's talk about some ideas that if you are going to do this, what you should be prepared for, and certainly some safety tips.
Yeah, so definitely going to break this into two factions like you just brought up, preparation. If you're not in a proper vehicle, it's just not smart to take those dirt roads. Kansas is horrible. Nebraska can be horrible with these dirt roads. And if you don't have the proper vehicle, proper wheels, proper differential locking mechanisms to be able to get you unstuck, or bringing those tie downs. I got a great story with Gabe Garfield, great friend. We actually become great friends because I had a tie down with my truck and pulled him out of some mud. And it's his preparation, right? Just helping out somebody stuck just by being prepared. Having they also make mats that you can these little ramps, rubber. I can't remember the actual name of them, but you could put them underneath your tires. And that was just preparation, right? Always just throw those in the trunk of your car. But if you're in a car, I really wouldn't recommend to go down wet, muddy roads. Gravel roads are okay. But with gravel roads, you definitely want to watch your speed because you don't have the traction. You have loose items. And when I say items, gravel underneath your tires that you lose grip. So, it's the situational awareness of your roadway in the preparation and pre-planning of your routes, and knowing, especially with GPS today, you could look on something I do is I flip over to GPS and then I'll go to terrain or satellite view, and you can tell if it's a dirt road or not, or does it go from gravel or concrete or asphalt to dirt. I mean, that's a preparation that you can look ahead if you're going to plan that route. When I chase, I always chase under the satellite view just because I want to see that road. That's one thing I can do. Now, I will talk about not being prepared and what can happen. And I hate to be a Debbie Downer here, but Tim, Paul, and Carl, part of the situation based on our investigation was they were on a mud road, a dirt road, facing well over 100-mile-an-hour RFD winds, and a car that was not prepared to handle the roadway. Their speeds were reduced drastically because of the roadway. So just know that if you're trying to escape from a tornado and you get off on a wrong roadway, i.e. mud road, dirt road, you are placing yourself into danger and causing your escape route and your escape time to be reduced even more. And that was what happened in the course of our investigation. Was the big part of what happened with them trying to escape away from that tornado was the road and the vehicle they were in. So just know that. But remember that. That's the one case that we know for sure the roadway played part.
Yeah, Eric, there's been a lot of times that while chasing, I've been on a dirt road, but I always try to avoid when it's raining. But I've been on a dirt road and it started raining, and there have been times that I've actually just turned around because I'm like, I'm not going to be on a paved road for a while. I'm just going to head back so I can get back on a paved road. So good stuff. Thanks, Eric.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
All right, so we're back here. We got Jim and Paige. So they're two of the winners of last year's Stormy's Storm Photographers and Photo of the Year winners. I'm going to simplify things. And Jim, when you were on our show last time, it's been a little while, but I know I asked this question because any photographer, I always ask this question. So I've got a DSLR as well, and I've gone through Greg's classes, and I've tried, and it's still it's too much. I don't have the patience. I still bring it with me, and I'll still set it up from time to time and let the trigger do some work. But I still will just go to my phone because the iPhones and the phones now are really good. There's limitations, of course, but they're pretty good. So I want to know, I'd have to imagine Paige, you and Jim, you guys still will go to your phone every once in a while. So I want to know what's your favorite use of your phone in taking storm shots? Paige, I'm going to start with you and because I want to get some tips.
Sure. Well, I'm typically on Instagram, and Reels are still very much a thing. So yeah. I will take a shot first with my camera, and then I'll switch to video, shoot that for 10 seconds, and then go back to my camera too. I remember on the Palmer tornado, I had my camera up at the same time that I was shooting. So I had both hands up, and that you can see in the video, it kind of like goes back and forth because I'm trying to shoot at the same time, but sometimes I can't choose between the two.
Wow.
Really? Wow. Okay. So you're torn a little bit. I can appreciate that. I like that. So anyway, so you're doing a lot of reels then. Are you doing them live, or are you recording and then making the reel later?
Yeah, I do everything after the fact. Okay,
you do. All right, Jim. What about you? Are you still going to your? I see your forehead. Oh, there you are. Give me some new phone tips.
I'll use DSLR for photos and phone for video, and I'll also use phone as like a backup, right? So if just in case something goes wrong, right? I have at least that phone fix. And then the third use for the phone would be if there's a lot of dynamic range. So by that I mean, if especially when the sun is setting behind your storm is really dark, right? And then the sun is really bright, and so DSLRs will have a tough time with that. So like a lot of times you'll need to underexpose by a lot to make sure that your highlights aren't blown out. And phones, they have that built into them, so they can understand when you have a really high dynamic range, and they'll apply post-processing within the camera to fix that immediately when you take the photo. So that's another good use for the camera. If the dynamic range is really high and you're kind of like pushing it with your DSLR pics, where maybe the storm is too dark and you're not getting details in the shadow, you can get a camera photo.
Yeah. So Phil, what I think what Jim's trying to say is let the adults talk, Phil. Serena,
Sure,
Serena,
no
I think you had a question. Let's move on from that.
I do. Well, it's kind of the opposite of Phil's. So this year when I went out chasing, I was like, all right, I'm bringing the DSLR out again, and I'm going to do this right. And I put the cell phone away and I said, I'm going to focus on this. I remember last time you were on, we talked about, hey, like use what you're going to use. Like the camera you use is going to be the best one. But what are some tips for new photographers, for people who do say, you know what, I really love what you do. I could see that being a passion of mine. I want to do the same thing. What advice do you have for them? I'll Jim go first and then we'll do Paige.
Yeah, so one of the key pieces of advice is to know your camera well before you go out shooting a storm. So when you're shooting a storm, things are moving really fast, right? So the storm is going to change every few seconds. Sometimes you'll have something set up, and then the storm will speed up, and all of a sudden you have to flee, right? Knowing your camera, knowing how what the little knobs and dials do, right? Practicing your shooting before you're actually in a pressure situation. That's going to be really important. Like if you know your camera in and out, know what settings you need to be at. If all that is immediate, you're saving so much time when you're in this pressure situation, and you're less likely to mess things up. And I say that because I've messed up so many times where, something's out of focus, I'm way overexposed, or something's just way off, right? And that almost always happens when I haven't shot for a very long time, when I haven't practiced shooting. It's maybe my first chase in like 6 months, right? And I just mess it up. And I've had great shots, amazing things ruined by me not knowing the camera, me not knowing what settings I need to be on. So that's probably my biggest piece of advice.
Nice. No, I like that. And I can attest to how important that is from when we were all out on the Stormfront Freaks chase. That's awesome. Paige, what advice do you have?
Yeah, I'll kind of add on to that because this falls within the same range of knowing your camera. But right before I get to a storm, when I'm filling up my gas tank and getting some snacks, I take out both of my cameras and make sure they're on the correct settings to start shooting when we get to a storm. So typically when you're under the mezzo, it's going to be a little bit darker. So I bring my ISO up a little bit. I just make sure my cameras are both ready to shoot. And then this is kind of a vague one, and it goes with any kind of photography, but just go out as much as you can. And Jim knows this, but you can go out 8 different times and not get anything, and then the 9th time you go out, you end up getting on something really beautiful. So you just get out as much as possible is my tip.
Nice. I like that. No, that makes sense.
All right, so hey, one of our viewers, Clarence Smith, says, "Hey, what photo is on the top of your bucket list?" And you guys have probably filled a lot of your bucket list already, but Paige, what photo is at the top of your bucket list right now?
So I have one photo in particular that's going to be a unicorn shot, but I want a tornado that's well lit, low precipitation, and a beautiful field with a rainbow and a red dress in front of it.
Shouldn't be a problem.
All the things.
Hey.
I've actually gotten very close, but I think this was the Medill, Oklahoma tornado. And it went through the town. And so as soon as that happens, I'm not going to take a shot like that. So like I've had the opportunity to take a shot like that. I was in the red dress and everything. And then I just decided against it because it didn't feel right. So.
Yeah, I like how you went the rainbow with the low precipitation.
Hey, if you're gonna ask,
just a
right?
little
bit.
miss,
Yeah.
you
Hey, no, zero
You
judgment,
may as
man.
well. I was gonna ask
Zero
you if you did
judgment.
search. Did you do search and rescue in your red dress then, or?
Oh no.
No.
Yeah, no, I was not qualified to do search and rescue, but we were
That's fair.
we were there in the damage path afterwards.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Crazy. All right, Jim, what about you? What's at the top of your bucket list still, Mr. Photographer of the Year?
I have too many shots. So I think the top would be a close range bolt at Dead Horse Point. So I got a bolt last year, but the settings weren't perfect. It was a little bit overexposed. So I wanted something like close range where you can see the foreground of Dead Horse Point, and then you got bolts in front of you.
Where's Dead Horse?
Times last year.
Where's Dead Horse Point, Jim?
Yes, it's near Moab in eastern Utah. That area is just so gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's like a landscape photographer's paradise. So,
Phil, can I
amazing landscape?
Yeah, Phil, can I jump in with my bucket list shot as well?
Yeah.
So
is
it
wearing a red dress in front of a?
Well, not a dress, but I want to be in the Badlands of South Dakota. I want to be up on the top of this butte, overlooking Mothership in front of me, and I've got this. I'm doing a series called the Red Underwear series, and so it's bucket list for me, Phil.
I know you're a total Badlands guy, so Paige and Jim, you both have him extremely
you guys
jealous.
Are killing me. You
for
have
what
no idea.
For what you got.
No idea how many times I've been in the Badlands doing storm photos, and then I saw Paige's, and I just like, oh God, I give up. Anyway, it was a great shot, Paige.
Oh man! All right, hey,
Any
there's
other
another
questions,
good audience.
Serena?
Yeah, there's one more good audience question from Cindy. She says, "Any tips if you're saving for your camera and using a Samsung Android phone?" So kind of going back to, sorry, Greg, phone tips.
No, that's all right.
Start with let's go with Jim. Jim.
Yeah. So, okay, there we go. So I think the phone is a great tool. So the phones they work really, really well. So I think to start, I would first of all use your phone as to start as much as possible, and kind of get a feel for what kind of shots you like. Right? What's your style? Are you a close person? Do you like movie shots? Do you like to be farther away? You can do that with any camera. You don't need like these fancy DSLR for that, right? What are you really passionate about? Once you have developed your own style and you understand what really makes you tick, right? That's when the investment made into a camera that matters so much more, right? Because let's be like moody shots, right? Well, if you take it with the phone, you're not able to bring that moodiness out as much as you would if you had a DSLR, right? So then the DSLR becomes an investment that pays dividends a lot more than if you didn't know what your style was, or if you didn't know what really brings you storm chasing, right? So, if that kind of a route, I think that for someone who's saving up for DSLR, I think that's kind of the best.
Would there, before I go to Paige, would there be a first camera recommendation?
Yeah, so I would start off with the entry level DSLR, right? So that's usually pretty, not as pricey as some of the higher end DSLRs. So especially if you're just starting out and you're still kind of budgeted, and I think the entry level DSLR they do great things. Nikon builds amazing entry level DSLRs and lenses. So we start off with that, and then once you've gotten a feel for how much you love the hobby, what your style and everything, then you can graduate onto more and more advanced cameras, more and more advanced lenses, more and more advanced equipment.
Yeah, this segment was brought to you by Nikon USA. Paige, what about you, Paige? What do you think? What any tips for Cindy?
Oh, I'm gonna shout out Nikon all the way. because I'm probably not the person to ask, because I would say just go ahead and buy the camera now and then pay it off later. It's a great investment.
This segment brought to you by Visa.
This segment brought to you by my bank account that is struggling. No, I would say if you absolutely can't buy the camera, and then a phone is also a great option. I've only been shooting for 2 years, and most of the shots that I started getting like recognition for on Instagram were taken on an iPhone. They were just edited in Lightroom Mobile. So I would say spend more time taking HDR shots and then editing them in Lightroom Mobile. So I don't know if that's an option, but you can pull out some range in those cell phone shots.
Snapseed works really good too if you're on an Android. It works really good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it depends on
Lightroom Mobile. All right.
Uh-oh.
Hey, you can finish what you were saying there before we were rudely interrupted by that thunder, Paige. What were you saying?
I honestly thought it was the storm here. So
you're gonna be like, "Hey, I gotta run. See you guys later." Well, hey, so that's the sound of our for our lightning round, Paige and Jim. This is our game show of flashy and brilliant questions that we get to play with our guests. And tonight we're pulling out an oldie but goodie because we have 2 guests tonight, and we're gonna play a little late night Family Feud.
Right on.
All right, so you know how Family Feud is played, and what I'm gonna do is we're gonna have 2 families. So Jim and Paige, you are one of our families, okay? And Greg and Serena,
oh my God,
you guys are the other family. So you're going to be playing against each other. And because you're our guests tonight, Jim and Paige, I'm going to start with you guys. And so I'm going to ask a question that the top so many answers right are on the board. And you can either keep the topic and then try and answer all the questions before you get 3 strikes, or you can pass it and hope that your competitors don't get them all before 3 strikes, and you can still steal with 1 correct answer at the end, right? Does that make sense? Any questions on Family Feud? We're good. All right. So I'm going to start, Jim, I'm going to start with you, okay? We got the top, what do we got? 7 answers on the board. And Jim, this is for you, really, because you sent me a bio that said something about how much one of your hobbies is sleeping. So top 7 answers on the board. Name a place where you fall asleep when you shouldn't.
Oh, shoot, that's a good question. The classroom.
The classroom.
That's a good one.
That's up there. So that's number 6 on the board. So here's the thing. You can keep it or you can pass it. What do you want to do? Do you guys want to keep it?
let's keep it. I got one.
You're going to keep it. All right. So you got number 6. Paige, you're up next. Name a place you driving. So in the car, right?
Behind the wheel, yeah.
There we go. So that's number 3 is in the bus or the car. So you still got, what do we got? 5 still up there, Jim. Where's another place where you shouldn't fall asleep?
The sofa.
The sofa. That's actually up there. I would have been like, dude, what did you sleep on the sofa, right?
Who doesn't sleep there?
But that was number 4. So you got 3, 4, and 6. You still have what? 1, 2, 5, and 7 on the board, Paige. Where else shouldn't you fall asleep?
What about like at a wedding or a party?
Oh, that's good. First strike. Wedding party, not up there. Jim, back to you. 1 and 2 are still on the board. You haven't gotten 1 or 2 yet. Where shouldn't you fall asleep?
I'm gonna say the train, like public transit.
Oh, okay. No, good one, but that wasn't on the board. So that's 2 strikes. Paige, here's your challenge. You guys are freelancers. You probably don't understand this, but where shouldn't you fall asleep?
At work, at a desk.
That's number one. Number one is at work.
I take
be
some
mine.
issue. I take some issue
Yeah.
with you feeding them that one.
So
Phil.
I just
that
said.
I'm not a freelancer. I do have a full
Well,
time.
you do, but you don't. Right? You can work on the road. You can work at home. That's a nice benefit. Some don't have. So all right. So you still got number 2 on the board, number 5 and number 7. Jim, 2 strikes.
In the middle of a storm.
Let's say like in the hotel lobby.
That is incorrect. All right. So Greg and Serena, you guys can kind of chat here a little bit, but you can steal. Number 2 is up there. Number 5 is up there, and number 7 still
I think
up
Serena
there.
and I are both going to say the same one. 1, 2, 3.
Church.
Is that what you're going to say, Greg? Yep.
Yeah.
That's correct. All right. So you guys, Team Freaks, got that one. All right. So now I'm going to go over to the Freaks. Greg, I'll start with you. Name a popular song with the word freak in the title.
Le Freak.
La Freak?
Say
That's
chic.
correct. I don't know. Is that what that one is? I was like, what song is that? I have no
Right?
idea.
Say chic.
So there's 6 answers on the board. That was number 5. Do you guys
We're going
want
to
to
pass,
keep it?
Phil. We're going to pass.
Thank
Phil.
you, Greg. Thank you, God.
We are passing this, Phil.
All right, we're passing over. Paige, name a popular song with the word freak in the title.
I don't know. Typically, I'm great with music, but I can't think of any with freak.
It's a really common word used in a lot of songs today. That's probably why. All right, Jim, I'm going to go over to you. 1 strike. Song with freak in the title.
Oh God, you're asking the wrong person because I'm my pop culture knowledge is negative.
I remember that from last time, which is why I started with the sleep question. So.
I'm gonna guess. What's her name? Kesha, TikTok, right? Did that have the word freak in it?
I don't know if it does, but I'm going to give you a buzzer. Hey, Paige, were you able to think of any others?
No, I'm out.
All right, we're going
Serena,
back.
this is
Greg
all
and
you.
Serena.
This is all you.
I got 2. There's Get Your Freak On. There's Super Freak.
I don't care how many you have. You just have to pick one, right?
Which one would be higher? Maybe Super
Ooh.
Freak.
Yeah.
Super Freak?
Yeah.
Super Freak, that's number 1. You got it. Freak Out was on there. Freak on a Leash.
Oh, yeah. from
She's a
Korn.
Freak. And Freak Like Me.
Wow.
All right, last one. Last one, Jim. Going to you. Name a famous captain. Name a famous captain.
Sorry, Captain America.
Captain America. Very good. So there's 7 answers on the board. That was number 5. So do you want to keep it or pass?
I got 1, so it's up to Jim. Jim, you think we can do it?
We'll keep it. Let's do it.
All right, we're going to keep it. Paige, going over to you. Famous captain.
Captain Morgan.
Very good. Captain Morgan's number 3. MJ'd be very proud of you on that one. Very good.
Yeah. Paige
All right,
just
Jim.
went up a notch in my book.
All right, Jim. Captain who? Captain
Kirk.
Ooh.
Very
Yeah.
good. He's number
Nice.
2. He's number 2 on the board. So you still have 1, 4, 6, and 7. Paige, 1, 4, 6, and 7.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Ooh.
Ooh, very good. He is not on there. First strike.
I don't
First
think he was a
strike.
captain.
Was he there?
Ha! He was
Yeah,
arguably
Captain
a
Jack
captain,
Sparrow.
I think.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
That-
Michael
that-
Bolton sang all about it, Captain
That
Jack
was
Sparrow.
his
right.
shtick. Michael Bolton.
Yeah, Lonely Island. You'll have to watch
Yeah.
it.
It's
All right.
amazing.
Jim Tang. Captain.
I'm out of guesses. Shoot. Captain, my captain.
Captain, my captain. Nope. Second strike, Paige.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. That actually is a good one. but it's not on there.
Sorry, Jim.
That was a good
Serena.
one.
Serena,
right,
what do you
freaks.
think? I would say Captain Phillips.
I'd say Captain Hook because my kids are so into
Ooh,
pirates.
Captain Hook.
That's the only one I
Yeah,
got.
I'll defer to the I'll defer to that. Yeah, Captain Hook.
Okay.
Captain Hook. Very good. Very good. Very good.
Was Captain Phillips on there, Phil?
Captain Phillips was not on there. So, yeah. So you got it. Well done. All right. So let's do this. So great guy. Paige and Jim, you guys are under the mezzone. You still did really good with the pressure. So I was impressed nonetheless. Let's do this. Jim, tell our listeners and viewers how they can find you and where they can see your work.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at WXMANN, one word, and on Instagram, Storm Chaser Tang, also one word, Tang, T-A-N-G.
Very good. All right, Paige, how about you? Where can people find you?
I am very rarely on Twitter at Paige Vincent 09, and then I am mainly on Instagram under Paige Vincent, just my full name.
Very good. And that's where they can find your series as well, correct?
Yes.
Very good. All right, well, tell you what, hey, before we go to you can find all our merch and everything at helicity.co. Stormfront Freaks is happy to partner again with the leader in weather geek gear. Helicity.co is back as the exclusive provider of Stormfront Freaks merch. Visit helicity.co, the weather superstore for the freaks and you. So we're going to take our final break. We'll be back with our hashtag Weather Fools. And don't miss our updated weather trollbox. All right, Jim and Paige, great job. You guys are awesome.
Are we actually on a break now?
We're actually on a break, so this is a raw break. So
Sorry,
yeah,
Phil,
yeah.
I played that too quick, but whoops.
No, I forgot to unmute, so we're good.
Live
we're still
TV,
learning.
live TV.
Live TV.
Live TV.
Yeah. Hey, who's behind you, Paige?
Yeah, who is that, Paige?
Who's that sneaking? Who's sneaking?
Nina. It's Nina.
Hi, Nina.
I was looking at the mamadas right in front of us.
I don't know if you've seen her shots on Instagram or if you follow her.
What's
She
her-
does storms with she does storms with horses in the foreground, and they're incredible.
Oh,
Shut
wow.
up. That's
Cool.
like my favorite. All right, how do we follow her?
What's your Instagram?
Oh, it's Nina DM. It's Nina NENAH _DM.
Nice. Check that out for sure.
Yes, definitely check it out if you haven't.
All right, so a couple things. Hold on, Greg. Before you guys go, now you guys can choose to stay for our last couple segments if you want. If you got a storm to go get, that's fine. We'll probably be another 15 minutes, so it's up to you. But Paige, before you go, I know we've already got a sound bite from Jim when he was on last time, but if you could just say, this is storm chaser and photographer Paige Vincent, and this is the Stormfront Freaks.
Okay, just let me know when.
Whenever.
This is storm chaser and photographer Paige Vincent, and this is Stormfront Freaks.
Perfect. Awesome. And then, so a couple of our VIPs we've had in the green room, you may or may not know, but Garrett Beverly and Dan Wallace as well. I want to give them an opportunity to ask some questions. I know Garrett's a big photographer. Dan does some cool drone stuff, but Garrett, I'll start with you. You got a question for either or both?
I think, Team Nikon here too, so I think we're all in the family there. So, but what's your guys' take on using ND filters for daytime lighting with a lightning trigger and the washout? You know, it's kind of risky business.
I don't even own filters.
So I've used the polarizer filter to reduce my shutter, to make my shutter speed longer. So I don't, and I've had photos where I've used ND filters to get daytime lighting before, and I think it's totally fine. I think if it helps you get a longer exposure so that you're more likely to catchable, then it works. I personally haven't had any issues with using it. It's just mainly that's another piece of equipment to make sure I don't lose and bring it along, and that's the main thing for me.
Right. Definitely.
Cool. How about you, Dan? What do you got?
So I got my Canon DSLR at a furniture store sale. But
Boo.
and I'm still kind of new to the still photography. I do a lot of more video. But what are maybe your foolproof settings that you might be able to suggest where you might be able to do more post production?
In terms of photos or in terms of video?
Yeah, photos. So if I'm still trying to learn still photography, what are some like settings that I could set the camera to where it'll be okay with post?
Yeah. So a lot of post production, you'll adjust things like add a little bit of brightness or add a little bit of contrast, and for that you need as low of an ISO as possible, right? So if your ISO is really high to start, you're going to have less room to be able to bump up pixels, right? You're going to have less room to bump up exposure. Everything's going to be, because when you do that, you add noise, right? So the suggestion there would be to use as low of an ISO as possible without making things blurry, which is kind of an art, right? So if your ISO is too low and you're making things blurry, that's just going to ruin the photo from the get-go. Right, so if your ISO is high, you're more guaranteed to get the photo, but then you have less room to bump up exposure and post or do whatever without really compromising your photo. So that's kind of like my first tip is get to know like for example like what camera, like how much noise does your camera have, right? So depending on the sensor, you might be able to have lots of ISO without much noise, or you might have less, or maybe once you get to like certain ISO, you do have a lot of noise, right? So, yeah, get to know your camera and from that angle, but also like it is an art, right? So it is a lot of intuition, feel, right? Go out there, take photos. Keep that in mind, though, right? Because if you do use the higher ISO, you have less room to edit your photo. So that's the answer there.
Thank you.
There is a tool now, though, if you use Lightroom to denoise. And I think they had another one to denoise with AI even, and I've played around with it, and it is very good. So if you do want to get closer to the storms and it's a little bit darker and you have to raise that ISO, like you have some options now in post.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have a question, Phil, for Paige. I'm going back to this red dress thing. Paige, the outfit you chase in, I'm assuming what you're wearing right now is like a regular outfit. Does it have like a Velcro tearaway?
Superhero.
So that you can quickly change into the red dress, or like you have like a pop-up little tent that you throw, or how does that work?
I've gotten very good at it from doing it for 5 years, and I have one dress in particular that I bring with me so I know how to change into it faster. But the secret is you leave leggings and shoes on, and then everything on top comes off. So you just slip it on and then tie it really quick. And then if you have to get back in the car, you just like
Dan, that's what we were doing wrong, Dan, when we were chasing.
What's crazy? Oh, go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, Paige has inspired me to probably take a suit and a bow tie now.
That's true. You do have that. That would work. You know what's interesting, Paige, I will say this, is you talk about all that no one sees and understands, and then you get this shot that's so beautiful and calming, and you're just standing. And I would have to think it's like, after all of that work, and then you're trying to take a nice
for a reason. My face on that, like on my back wow. Camera, but my face is just like.
That's funny. All right, you guys, are you sticking around, or you got to go? Jim, Paige, what do you want to do? If you don't have an imminent storm, stick around for 15 more minutes and see the shenanigans that we've got, and you can be freaks in the background.
Okay.
Which means you can comment. So as we show things like our weather fools and all that stuff, you guys can comment with Serena and Greg and all that, like the rest of them. Okay.
So not on camera anymore.
No, you'll be on camera too. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So let's do this. So we're gonna come out of break. MJ's gonna play the Pecos Drive Under the Moon video with guest audio plug, and then he'll play the Weather Fools intro video with applause. Serena, you're introing Weather Fools.
Okay.
We don't have any from you, correct?
No.
Okay.
Good.
No, today's been a technological nightmare.
Okay. So you'll come in. Now, the one thing to be aware of is, remember, when he plays the video, you'll have to unmute yourself manually so that you can kind of segue in right when the video's coming to, when a video's coming to an end. Okay.
Sounds good. Who has Weather Fools?
So,
and Greg.
I've got
Greg
some
won.
and Greg's got one.
All right.
So let's do Phil first and then go to Greg.
Okay, Phil then Greg. All right, and this is 186. Okay.
Episode 186, show notes at stormfrontfreaks.com. All right. And then once you say that, MJ's going to play the Weather Trollbot video. And then I'll come in because Jen's not here tonight. So I'll just come in and introduce that. We've got 2 to play for you guys. Remember, if I can't remember which of you were on the last show. Remember, we were tinkering with AI voices.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it was a little kid that was cussing and swearing.
Yeah.
So we've upgraded and we have some celebrities tonight. That will be.
Phil, are you going to play those or do you want me to?
You can go ahead and play them.
Okay.
I'll play. Do you want me to play the sound? I'll play the sound effects of entering the information.
Yep.
And then once you hear the
Yep.
then you can play the video. Okay.
Yep.
So I will do the sound. Did you move the sound stuff around?
I might have.
Because I had that moved up there.
He's like, maybe.
Yes, that's right. Producer's privilege.
So Trollbot sound effects. Okay, that's what I need. Okay, so I'll play the sound effects and then you can play the videos. Yep. And then once the second one's done, then I'll start the close. And just a reminder, at the very end of the close, MJ will play an end credits video. It's about 1 minute long. And once the video's done, then we're back in our after party mode. Okay. All right, any questions from anybody? Remember, Jim and Paige, you guys can now comment on the stupid Weather Fools stuff that we show and Weather Trollbot stuff. This one ought to be interesting. We'll see how this goes. So, all right, MJ, you can start when ready.
All right, I'm heading out. I'll start.
And then Serena, be ready to unmute.
Okay.
Who's got TikTok in the background? Someone's got a clock.
It's probably me because why not?
Okay.
Okay, here we go now. Everybody be quiet.
This is Michael Binsky, Emmy-winning photographer and filmmaker of Storm Chaser, time-lapse films, lesser-known wedding photographer, and you are listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Let's take a drive under the moon. Let's take a drive under the somber sky. Let's take a drive under the moon.
All right. This is our favorite segment. This is a cornerstone segment of the Stormfront Freaks podcast. It is time for Weather Fools, where we find the most genius and intelligent people who like to record the things that they do and put them on the internet for the rest of us to see. What would we do without them? So we have a few that we're going to share with you guys today. We're going to begin with Phil, who has a few specific Weather Fools for us.
All right, so all of mine are coming from our viewers and listeners, and the first one I'm going to call Flash Flood Follies. This is from Lunalight, and you can see someone swimming in the floodwaters off in the ditch.
Yeah, but did you see the lightning strike?
Well, that too, right?
Let's swim in floodwaters during lightning.
Yeah.
So somehow that ditch looked inviting to this individual to just start swimming, and watch the lightning show, I guess.
Yeah, I just love the lightning in the background because that's a good mix, swimming and lightning.
Yeah.
Always good.
2 for 1 full there, Phil.
Always good. All right, next one I call
God.
Outlook is pretty exciting. This is from listener and viewer Jay is Painting. So Jay is Painting sent this to us. I believe, Greg, this is up in your neck of the woods.
Yes, it is. What are we looking at here, Phil?
This is hashtag weather peens is what this is.
I'm just going to say that B stands for balls. That's all I'm going to say on this one.
So it's up in Canada.
God.
It's some severe warning area, and it looks like a penis. Yeah, that's
probably one of the more impressively phallic ones I've seen in a while. That's
well, I'm glad you think that's impressive, Serena.
Some of these are a stretch when it's like, oh yeah, that kind of looks like it's like. No,
I get it. It's a stretch. I get it.
It's a stretch. All right, the next one comes from Jen Walton. She sent us one from Colorado, and I call it resistance training, and it's a bicycler going through flooded street waters. But look to the left, there are some firefighters that are telling him, get away, stop, it gets deeper down there. And this guy just kind of
keeps waving them off.
Yeah, he just keeps biking, says, who are you to tell me where I can bike?
I love this one so much because he bikes by a stalled out car that died in the floodwater and the firefighters and is like, have a good day, guys.
How about the guy now driving into that?
Oh my
with the
God.
stalled cars around.
Those firefighters are just like, dude, why are we even working? Why are we even here?
Yeah. Holy hell.
Oh, that's a good one, Phil.
All right, the last one comes from Tim Boland. I call this Mary Poppins. This must be somewhere in Asia, Eastern Asia. But it's a TikTok video, and all these workers are holding down this massive tent at a party.
No.
And the tent takes off. I mean, this is a massive, probably 50-foot by 50-foot tent.
Oh my God, it took them
and
right
each
out.
each worker's holding on to one of the bars. Now look across. I want you to look across the way. There's one guy that is totally committed. He is not letting go. This tent flies out of view, and he's got a blue shirt, and just kind of keep an eye on him. He's committed. He is not letting go. Watch this as it takes off.
Phil, I was watching the. Oh my God! Did you see the guy that fell?
Yeah.
No.
He was not fully
committed. Watch the guy beside the guy that flew up. There's a guy who falls from about 25 feet.
Yeah, I saw. This. Yeah, I keep.
And there he goes.
Oh, right there. Yep.
Wow.
Like, what are they thinking?
How much do they love their job that they're not letting go of that thing? Wow.
I'm speechless.
Wow. I mean, that guy's 50 feet plus in the air when he goes off screen easily. So, all right. So those are mine.
Holy cow.
Sent by listeners and viewers.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
no.
So mine is not a funny weather fool. Mine's a make you want to go punch a wall weather fool. So this comes from Fire Photo Girl on Twitter. Now, I know a little bit of the backstory of this. She booked a tour, a storm chasing tour, with a very unscrupulous dude. Like you said, Phil, we don't mind throwing people under the bus here on the Stormfront Freaks. At Pezman WX, this guy apparently was very, I'm going to say handsy, not very polite with his guest. She ended up saying, hey, take me to the airport, drop me off, I'm done. He dropped her off and then took off with all of her luggage and camera gear and everything. She had to get the police involved to get her stuff back, and she had to pay for the shipping to get it sent back to her home. Anyway, so if anybody knows at Pezman Weather, beware if you're going to be joining a tour. I love storm chasing tours. I love storm chasing. But go with people that are good people. People like Extreme Tornado Tours, and there's all sorts of them. But that's my weather fool. This Pezman Weather, he can suck it.
Yeah, that sounds like it. So If you want to check out the videos of all these weather fools or throw some shade at Pezman Weather, go to stormfrontfreaks.com. Look for episode 186 show notes, and you'll have all the details.
All right, folks, it is time for Weather Trollbot 5000. So if you're a regular listener or viewer of the show, you know that Weather Trollbot, we found her in a garage sale initially, just kind of a robot, and we purchased her pretty cheap, but we repurposed her to be able to interpret what our weather friends were really thinking when they responded to their trolls. Okay, so a lot of times you'll see meteorologists, you'll see storm chasers, they'll get trolled on social media. But of course, our weather friends are always very polite. They respond very professionally. But we know that that's probably not what they were really thinking initially. And so what Weather Trollbot does is we feed all that information into her. She interprets all that, and then she'll kick out what that person was really thinking when they responded to their trolls. So we always say this is where you got to put the earmuffs on the kids, because sometimes what they're thinking may not be appropriate for everybody. But the neat thing is a couple weeks ago or a month ago, I started playing with some new AI technology. And so I started incorporating that into Weather Trollbot. And when we first played it a month or so ago, it was still new. It was kind of still downloading. And so what she spit out kind of sounded like a little kid. Okay?
It was awkward, Phil.
It was a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I think we've fully got that downloaded, and I've attached some celebrity voices to her output. So I'm hoping that when we enter all this information tonight, what she kicks out will be some celebrity voice. And so I'll kind of leave it up to all of you to see if you can interpret or if you can identify who that celebrity voice is. So I've got two to share with you tonight. One comes from actually one of our co-hosts, Jen Watson, sent this to us. Regarding Reynolds Wolf. So Reynolds Wolf is a meteorologist on the Weather Channel, and he got trolled by Jamal Johnson. Jamal said, "Reynolds Wolf, your on-air personality is unwatchable. I had to change the channel this morning."
Wow.
Which, right. Like, why are
It's
you
not
even...
constructive. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
But, Reynolds, very professional gentleman. He responded, "I'm honored you took the time to reach out and that you were able to watch for a few moments. Wishing you and your loved ones..."
That is not what he was really thinking, Phil.
Well, it gets better. "Wishing you and your loved ones great weather, amazing health, and continued success."
Oh, Reynolds, yeah.
So what we do, so I'm going to take all this information, I'm going to plug it into Trollbot, and then she's going to be able to spit out what Reynolds was actually thinking. So let me enter this in, and then she's got to compute.
Fuck off, Jamal. Why are you even wasting your time? Or say something, you whiny little bitch. Grab a ticket and hop on the train to fuck town.
Okay. Wow. So she's got a little Snoop Dogg in her, I guess. Weather Trollbot does.
I don't know which is better, the little kid one or the Snoop Dogg Trollbot.
Expect the swearing from Snoop.
All right, that's true. That's true. All right, so the next one, you all know our beloved Daniel Shaw, storm chaser, got trolled by Jeffrey Logsden 0. Jeffrey Logsden 0 said, "Damn, we needed Timmer in this one. He would have been all up in that big-ass tornado. You were like 15 miles away, and that just doesn't make for a good YouTube video anymore. If you're not trying to intercept or at least get close, stay home. Hell, I barely see anything but rain. We want to see the tornadoes, not the aftermath of people's lives ruined. Search Monster Wedge Tornado Intercept from the Bear's Cage. That is what we want to see, not people's houses and shit destroyed. We can watch that on the news. I understand you're out to warn people, but don't warn them and then post a video of their shit destroyed. The news does a good enough job covering that. Let's see the actual tornado and what it's doing, how it's moving, how strong it is, and the size. Just saying to many chasers who post videos of 2 seconds of tornado while they're running from it, and then 45 minutes of people's lives ruined.
So he gets to the point pretty quickly.
Well, sort of. I
He
mean,
obviously
that's like
doesn't. He's obviously never
5-minute.
storm chased either.
No.
Yeah.
No. So good old Daniel, professional guy, right? He responds no different. He says, "Hello, Jeffrey. Please accept my apologies that I didn't drive close or into the debris field for your personal enjoyment. I failed you as a storm chaser. I promise to make a greater effort in the near future. Quick question. Know any good probate attorneys and funeral directors?" And I will tell you this, Daniel actually sent this to us specifically for Weather Trollbot.
Thank
you.
Now,
so
listen,
we're
for
gonna-
anybody who doesn't know him, though, you got to do it in his voice, I hope.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, let's see.
What the shit? I'm looking for your fucking video of Zero metering a tornado. Can't find it. Just trying to stay alive. So suck it, Jeffrey.
All right, so it wasn't Daniel. If you guessed that, it sounded like James Earl Jones, maybe a little Darth Vader there. I don't know, but so there's Weather Trollbot 5000. She keeps evolving. She keeps I don't know if she's getting better, but she keeps evolving. We'll kind of say that. So, but that just about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks Live. Thanks for tuning in. And before we announce the guest of our next episode, I've got a request. If you like the show, hit the follow and subscribe button and help us by sharing your favorite episode on social media or with a friend. And let's also go around Freaks. Serena, how can people find you and your content?
Yeah, everything is at WX Serena, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everything.
Very good. Greg, how about you?
You can all find me on all the social media stuff, Tornado Greg. And if you want to learn how to use your camera, check out cameraeasy.ca, where I teach online classes on how to use the camera.
Very good. And you can find me. I'm usually tweeting on Twitter at Stormfront Freak. Special thanks to our guests tonight, Jim Tang and Paige Vincent. Thank you very much, you guys. And that was great tips. You guys had some awesome tips. I'm disappointed that Greg cut off the phone tips because I was really starting to jot some stuff down there, but I guess I can't play with the adults. So next episode, we've got the Weather Channel videographer Charles Peak. He's going to be joining us, introducing his new streaming series called Peak Travels. Stormfront Freaks, we're going to be live Thursday, July 6th, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central on YouTube, and the audio podcast will be available that weekend. So for Serena and Greg and Paige and Jim, I'm going to go ahead and signal the all clear, and we'll catch you guys next time. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Well, that was good.
Well, where's the end credits?
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't there another
I'm
thing?
sorry, I'll add it. I could not find it.
Okay.
So we got another tornado-warned storm. So I'm gonna move.
Sweet.
All right.
See you guys. Good luck.
Good luck.
Guys.
Good luck. Thanks, Paige.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
fun. Thanks,
Oh,
guys.
there it is. End credits. That's what it's called. Damn.
If only you named it something sneaky.
That's right. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
We'll post that in. It's fine.
All right. We're good. We're good.
Bring Garrett back and Dan back.
Is Dan back there? Cool. Dan, what do you got on? What are we looking at there?
Yeah, it looks like it's a tornado-warned storm.
We're at. I don't see any
It's in Colorado.
cities there. Okay.
Do you have a velocity on there, Dan? Can you pull velocity up?
That was the top right one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, I've never seen velocity in those colors before.
it's level 2 on GR.
I don't see a couplet. Where's the couplet on there? I'm just not.
Yeah. I feel like. Yeah, you can't see where my mouse is.
Thanks, Serena. That's a good thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
today's just one of those like.
Oh,
well,
yeah. Okay. Cool.
What's the closest city? Are there any cities
Colorado
there,
Springs?
or is it out in the middle of nowhere?
It's kind of it's southeast of Peyton.
Yeah,
Got it.
east of Colorado Springs, southeast of Peyton.
Okay.
Looking at it now. All right.
Yeah, it
Neat.
makes more sense now when it's zoomed out a little bit.
Um,
Well, that was cool, Phil. I enjoyed that. That was my first time. CameraEasy.ca.
There you go, Cindy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and highly recommended. I did it before we went out for our Stormfront Freaks chase. Had my camera, wanted to like totally understand how it worked and did all that. Greg's class was amazing. It was the best thing I did before we went out there.
Thanks, Serena.
Hey, and I'll say this too, and I've said it before. I took the class as well, and I took the whole thing, and it was really good, and I learned how to use it. But then I don't think I used it for a month or two
That's
after
the
that.
problem. That's
and
the
then
problem.
I forgot everything.
Yeah.
I even had your cheat sheet when I first went out after doing that. I don't know if that was last year or year before, but
yeah.
But I don't use it enough. That's my problem. So I don't.
Yeah.
I don't
Helped
retain.
me get my shots over the years. So.
Yeah.
Damn, I wish we were able to be out. I was able to be out chasing in June this year. Frickety frick. May can suck it. I don't know if I'm going to do May again. Let's do
You have to
June.
do early May. If you're
No,
going to
let's-
do May, it has to be early.
Not statistically.
Ugh.
Phil, next year, June.
I could do June.
Okay.
Beginning of June next year.
Beginning might be tough, but
Why?
That's when MJ and I usually go on a fishing trip. What
Middle
dates
of
was
June.
it this year?
Middle of June.
It was 9th through 13th or 10th through 13th.
Hey, show me, Phil, with your hands. Show me the size of the largest fish you caught.
It's a good thing he said fish.
This year?
Yeah, this year. With your hands. Be honest.
No,
No,
this year I don't know. I probably caught a what I catch. I caught a 20.
I don't remember, but
21 walleye, 22 walleye,
Yeah.
inch walleye. I don't know.
Nice fit.
I might have caught a bigger. I can't remember what it was. Nothing huge. Funny thing is, I actually just caught a bass in the lake that's here by our house. Probably a good 12, 13 inch bass, which our lake is pretty small, doesn't have big fish. And yeah, that was kind of cool. Just did that yesterday.
You also fishing for northern pike? Is that what you were going to say?
We catch northern pike. I wouldn't say we necessarily fish for northern pike, but while you're fishing for walleye, you tend to also catch northern pike and some bass. And walleye's the good ones because that's the good eating.
See, I like pike.
Oh, really?
It is good.
That
Fresh.
one ridge of
It's good
meat right
fresh.
across the top, as long as you can get no bones in it, right? 'Cause
Yeah, the bones is the hard
bones
part.
is
yeah.
the problem. Bones is the problem. This segment brought to you by Bass Pro Shops.
Bass Pro
There you
Shops,
go.
that's right, and Cabela's.
So, Greg, my kids had their dance recitals recently. This is going to be relevant in a minute. The weather here has been shit. It has been such awful weather. It's been like
Cold.
gray and rainy every day, not even
Yeah.
like storms, like just
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
And I haven't used the camera in a while. So I was like, oh, I'll go take pictures at the kids' dance recital. And they turned out so good. I was really excited. I don't know how well
Really?
it'll come
Wow,
out.
that's
Turn
really
the
good.
Damn light off.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you know what's wild though? How many places don't let you take pictures of your kids' dance recital?
They didn't, but I
Nice. I like it. But why don't they? It's
Yeah.
just a money grab. They want you to buy from the photographer that's on site.
Well, and here's
Right,
the thing: they didn't
right.
even have a photographer on site.
Then
There's
why
a
not let you
DVD.
take pictures?
I know they have a DVD you could buy, so I bought the DVD, and then I'm sitting in a dark auditorium. Like, who's gonna notice? And everyone's there with their cell phones, which is much
Right.
worse than me with the camera. Like that's
Right.
bright and is in my face. Anyway, that's not doing it justice. The pictures were so good. I was really proud of myself.
Oh, that's
wanted to
awesome.
show you.
That is good.
That's so cool.
For what you pay to go to events and concerts and stuff, you should be able to take in your camera if you want. I mean,
Pretty freaking.
Do you guys
much.
know who this Morgan Whalen?
Morgan
You know who-
Wallen, yeah.
Wallen, yeah. His tickets for his concert in Saskatoon are selling for $2,000 a seat.
What?
Wow.
What else does it come with?
Yeah, I was gonna say he better be doing.
All
there's
you
like,
can eat food and drink, or what?
No,
I have
that like literally
expectations.
just ticket. It's mind blowing.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, like, listen, I'm not the world's greatest country music fan, but all he sings about is beer and trucks. That's all he sings.
country
Beer and
music,
trucks.
of
You
course.
know,
That's about right. Yeah.
But it's crazy. $2,000 a ticket. It's amazing. Anyway.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's
So you're
it.
right, Garrett. I should be able to interview him afterwards backstage
Yes.
Right.
and sit on his lap for $2,000.
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
All right. Say goodbye to our audience.
All right.
everybody.
Thanks for viewing, guys. Thanks. We'll see ya.
Thanks, everyone.